As Africa's leading defence news portal, DefenceWeb aims to give you the latest updates on African defence, the South African National Defence Force, and the defence industry. Hi folks, welcome to the past week in defence. In this week's edition on the continent, the first Egyptian Su-35s have been spotted, rhino poaching declined significantly in South Africa, stock and other cross-border theft is a regular occurrence on the South Africa/Lesotho boundary, South Africa and China mark 58 years of defence cooperation, and statistics show an increase in South Africa's murder rate. In SANDF news, another South African general leads the United Nations Force Intervention Brigade, soldiers stop stolen bakkies leaving South Africa, the crashed C-130BZ Hercules in the Democratic Republic of Congo is coming back to South Africa, and the National Sea Rescue Institute assists a capsized SANDF boat. In company news, trade union UASA is taking Denel to court over unpaid salaries. Denel ventilator prototype tests proved to be better than expected. Airborne tactical advantage company Mirage F1s are ready to start US Air Force adversary training with help from Paramount. Pronex highlights its military vehicle engineering capabilities. Milkor plans to open offices in the United Arab Emirates, and OTT acquires LMT Products. In African defence news, the first 3 Su-35 fighter jets for Egypt's Air Force have been seen flying in Russia months after it emerged production had started at the Gagarin aircraft plant in Komolsk on Amur. On the 22nd of July, photos emerged of 5 aircraft in flight with serials 9210, 9212, and 9214 visible. They were spotted at Novosibirsk Tomakevo Airport in central Russia, apparently en route from the factory 3,600 kilometers away. In early May, satellite imagery appeared to show 4 of the aircraft on the ground at the Komolsk on Amur factory in eastern Russia. Their color scheme matches that of Egyptian MiG-29Ms in service. It is expected that the aircraft will be delivered this year. They are a part of a batch of 24 ordered in 2018. The Department of Environment, Forestry and Fisheries says rhino poaching decreased by almost 53% in the first 6 months of 2020, with 166 animals being killed for their horns across the country since the beginning of the year. During the first 6 months of 2019, a total of 316 rhinos had been poached in South Africa. After a decade of implementing various strategies and campaigning against the ever-increasing rhino poaching by local poachers recruited and managed by crime syndicates, efforts are paying off. We have been able to arrest the escalation of rhino losses, said Environment, Forestry and Fisheries Minister Barbara Creasy. The minister said the COVID-19 lockdown to restrict movement, the decline in rhino poaching compared to the same period last year is striking. This reprieve was specifically welcomed in the Kruger National Park, where during April, no rhino were killed with an intensive protection zone for the first time in almost 10 years. South Africa might have new border management legislation in place, but it is not yet making an iota of difference along at least the border between Lesotho and the Central Free State province, with the most recent incident seeing SANDF personnel arrest 2 alleged rustlers. The porosity of the border was borne out by a recent oversight visit to the border separating the Mountain Kingdom from its encompassing neighbour. Opposition Democratic Alliance Party member of the Free State Provincial Legislature, Roy Yankeeslon, went to a section of border between Clarence and Furiesburg. Rural communities along this border are regular victims of farm attacks, theft of livestock, vehicles, equipment and other crimes. My oversight visit indicates there is no fence or other barrier to prevent people crossing the border, he said, adding that he did see 2 armed South African soldiers sitting next to a crossroad several kilometers from the border. The death of 95-year-old Andrew Mahlengi in Johannesburg on the 21st of July has highlighted South Africa-China defence cooperation that goes back 58 years. The first recruitment outside of the ANC High Command to be selected by Nelson Mandela to join the new Umkhonto weSizwe MK in 1961, Mahlengi was the first group of 6 persons who went to China in 1962 for military training. China was the first country to accept MK members for training. Speaking at the memorial service for Mahlengi on the 26th of July, the Defense Attaché of China to South Africa, Major General Shang Hong, noted that Mahlengi met Chairman Mao Zedong twice, the first time on August 1962 and the second time on 1st of October 1962. The former being the anniversary of the founding of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, and the second being the anniversary of the founding of People's Republic of China. As a consequence of China's support for the ANC and its fight against apartheid, South Africa recognized the People's Republic of China in January 1998 with the ending of formal diplomatic relations with Taiwan. However, it is only the past few years that South Africa-China defense cooperation has notably increased. A Chinese embassy staff member told DefenseWeb that China is looking forward to cooperating with the SANDF to further enhance its capability against COVID-19, as well as promoting coordination on international and regional security issues. While South Africans recorded fewer violent crimes, murder remains reluctantly stubborn, the 2019-2020 crime statistics have revealed. According to the annual crime statistics released by Police Minister bakkies on the 31st of July, violent crimes, particularly murder, have been slowing down in the past 3 years. The document reveals that between April 2019 and March 2020, 21,325 people were murdered in South Africa, an increase of 1.4% from the previous report. Indeed, we are not where we want to be. However, we are pleased with the improvements in the most stubborn crime categories, he said. KwaZulu-Natal remains the province with the highest murders, with 4,859 recorded cases, followed by Gauteng with 4,555, the Western Cape with 3,975, and the Eastern Cape with 3,879. KwaZulu-Natal is the capital and recorded the highest number of murders out of all of the 9 provinces, which increased by 10.6%, he said. KZN also recorded an increase in sexual offences and trio crimes. Operational interventions are in place to stabilise KZN, including strengthening the resources under Operation Vala in KwaZulu-Natal. And in SANDF news, the new man at the helm of the Southern African Development Community Force Intervention Brigade and the Democratic Republic of Congo is no stranger to the Central African country, with 3 completed tours of duty there to his credit. In addition to the tours in the Congo, 52-year-old Brigadier General Monwabisi Diakobu also has an Ethiopia deployment under his belt. Acknowledgement of his ability in peacekeeping saw him assist in the establishment of the SA National Defence Force Peacekeeping Mission Training Centre in the grounds of the Army College in 2006. He was part of the first team training and preparing military observers and military staff officers for continental deployments with the African Union and the United Nations. The latter part of July saw South African National Defence Force soldiers recover bakkies in 4 different locations on the South Africa-Mozambique border. Soldiers deployed on this border as part of the National Border Protection Tasking Operation Corona 5 years ago came up with an innovative and inexpensive way of preventing vehicle thieves moving to the chop shops and harbours of Mozambique. Excess rock from a quarry was placed along known vehicle smuggling routes to make illegal vehicle border crossings more difficult. An incident late last month saw soldiers arrest the driver of a stolen double cab bakkie. The vehicle was spotted from an observation post, while a henchman believed to be involved in the vehicle theft cleared a route for it by moving the rocks with more assistance on the Mozambique side of the border, cutting the fence in anticipation of a clean getaway. When spotted, the vehicle thieves opened fire with soldiers who returned the favour and wounded the driver. 3 others in the double cab escaped. Both the vehicle and suspect are now in police safekeeping and custody. The 28th Squadron C-130BZ Hercules, tail number 403, involved in a runway excursion in the Democratic Republic of Congo in January, will be brought back to South Africa. This is according to Brigadier General Hilton Smith, Director, SA Air Force Corporate Staff Services. Responding to a DefenseWeb inquiry, he said the complete aircraft will be recovered to South Africa later this year, adding that there is no indication of when the 56-year-old military transport will be moved in disassembled form. Completion date is subject to UN and international COVID-19 protocols, he said. The National Sea Rescue Institute came to the assistance of a South African National Defence Force boat that capsized at the Knysna Heads on the 28th of July. The NSRI said all crew was safe, with 1 injured soldier in a stable condition. Jerome Simmons, NSRI Station 12, Knysna Station Commander, said that the NSRI Knysna duty crew were activated to respond to a rigid hull inflatable boat that had capsized at the Knysna Heads. It was one of several SANDF boats on a training exercise. And in company news, the United Association of South Africa, UASA, trade union, has said it is taking Denel to court after failing to find a solution to the issue of salary non-payment on the heels of trade union Solidarity announcing the same. UASA said it will be in the Labour Court on the 4th of August 2020 to launch an urgent application for a compliance order to force Denel to honour its contractual obligations. It became clear during our engagements that there are fundamental differences between the management of Denel and the chairperson of the board, Ms. Montla Hlala. During a meeting on the 9th of July 2020, the board chairperson denied having any knowledge of the short payments of salaries and distanced herself from the proceedings, UASA said. 4 months of intensive development have seen Denel Dynamics come up with a working ventilator for utilization as part of a national effort to prevent coronavirus deaths. In April, the state-owned Defence and Technology Group said it will be committing resources, including expertise, to design and develop ventilators for hospital use. Denel Dynamics in late July said it is developing a bi-level positive airway pressure-assisted breathing unit. This, after a number of prototypes determined by user requirements and component availability were subjected to scrutiny. Test results for the prototype are, according to Denel Dynamics, better than expected, as this is outside our core capability and a venture into the non-defense environment. The strategy going forward is to have engineering evaluation models ready in August with production to follow soon after. Industrialization and production of the ventilators is dependent on all qualifying processes being successfully completed, including by regulatory authorities. Denel Dynamics will use its facilities on the Denel campus in Irene Centurion to produce the ventilators when qualification is obtained, certification approved, and availability of the components secured. Trained personnel from Denel Dynamics will produce the ventilators and are looking at manufacturing more than 2,200 a month. Airborne Tactical Advantage Company, ATAC, will soon start flying its fleet of Mirage F-1 fighters refurbished with the systems from Paramount Group company Paramount Aerospace under a $240 million US Air Force adversary air training contract. ATAC on the 27th of July said it had been selected to provide 2 US Air Force bases with adversary air lab training under the Command Air Force's contracted air support program. Under the awards, with up to a combined $240 million, ATAC will provide adversary air lab training to pilots at Luke Air Force Base, Arizona, and Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico. The combined awards provide for over 3,000 sorties per year for up to 4.5 years, which will be provided by ATAC's fleet of Mirage F-1 fighter aircraft and are expected to commence around the third quarter of 2020. Pretoria-based Pronex has kept a low profile in the quarter of a century since its inception, but the company has taken part in many high-profile projects, providing mainly systems engineering services for product systems like the Rooikat, Ratel, Badger, and Olifant, amongst many others. Over the years, Pronex evolved and has been involved in major landward product developments, including the Badger infantry fighting vehicle for the South African Army, the Ratel vehicle missile variant, Milan missile program, turret programs, and active protection systems. In the past 10 years, it has also been involved in the development of new generation 4x4 and 6x6 armored vehicles. The company is a one-stop military landward products development entity. It offers complete systems engineering and integration services, from vehicle mobility to protection, firepower, and command and control. This includes integrating, simulating, and testing add-on armor, protection systems, firepower products, and auxiliaries. Milkor is opening its second international office in the United Arab Emirates as it cements ties with the UAE defense industry. The UAE office will be officially launched at the IDEX 2021 Defense Show in February next year, along with several UAE-owned products. One of these, 100% owned by the UAE division of Milkor, is Milkor's biggest to date, the company revealed. Our local presence will give us the ability to interact on a vast array of partnership opportunities, collaborations, and joint developments with a more dynamic and timely approach. We've had to concentrate on many different aspects of our business model, but most importantly, our timing had to be perfect. We've been strategizing for months with the late nights and a lot of coffee to make this happen, Julian Kutsia, CEO of Milkor UAE, said. Kutsia said Milkor has been planning on establishing local capability and a permanent presence in the UAE for a long time, and is something the company has been focused on for the last couple of years. The UAE division will drive strategic partnerships with the major players established in the UAE. Armor vehicle manufacturer OTT Technologies is the new owner of LMT Products, which had been placed in business rescue last year after Denel lost control of the company. LMT Products, a former 100% owned subsidiary of LMT Holdings, designed and manufactured a variety of protected vehicle products, ranging from protected cabs for Mercedes-Benz vehicles to armored personnel carriers. It exported large numbers of armored vehicles, mainly to the Middle East, including the clean sheet LM13 multi-purpose combat vehicle designed to fit into a C-130 transport. and the LMA Special Operations Vehicle based on a Ford chassis. LMT also developed the LM14 low-cost armored personnel carrier, a clean sheet designed able to carry 10 people, and the LM13-derived LM16 high-mobility armored personnel carrier that can accommodate up to 11 people. As part of its relationship with the UAE's International Army Group, LMT sold the JAWS APC as the LM5 in a couple of African countries. The company has also developed the Meerkat retractable weapon station for light armored vehicles. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our daily and weekly newsletters, and our other social media platforms if you enjoyed the webcast. Leave your comments below. Thank you for watching. Stay safe during lockdown, and we'll see you next week.